I'd now like to introduce, ladies and gentlemen, the Honourable Mr. Joseph Hugh, who's the Cayman Islands Government's elected Minister for Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure. Minister Hugh is a past president of the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce. He headed the Cayman Islands Restaurant Association for 5 years until its amalgamation into the Cayman Islands Tourism Association, where he continued to serve as a director. In addition, he's been Deputy Chairman of the Trade and Business Licensing Board, as well as the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands. In 2013, he sought political office as a Georgetown candidate under the banner of the Progressives. And in winning his seat, he was named Councillor to the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. In the May 2017 elections, Mr. Hugh was again successfully elected, winning his seat as the representative for Georgetown North. And he currently holds the office of Minister with the responsibility for commerce, planning and infrastructure. Here to provide a welcome on behalf of the Cayman Islands Government, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Honourable Mr. Joseph Hugh.
Morning. Thank you for that introduction, Chris. In one of my bios, it talks about me being an avid CrossFitter. And I wish he had mentioned that, because that would explain why I didn't jump up on the stage with the excitement of the introduction. It is certainly my privilege to be here with you all this morning. And many thanks to the Cayman Alternative Investment Summit, CAIS, and the DART Family Group and the other sponsors for the opportunity to address this 7th annual conference. I must begin by offering my apologies on behalf of our Premier, the Honourable Alden McLaughlin, who was scheduled to speak to you this morning. He has been a staunch supporter of this event and since its inception, but unfortunately, he was unable to be here today with you. He has asked me to pass on his greetings and best wishes to you for an enjoyable and interesting conference. I must also thank His Excellency the Governor for stepping up and extending the official welcome to you on behalf of our government. Looking at the agenda for these 2 days and the bios of the upcoming speakers, I am sure the Premier's wishes for this event will be realized. It is no surprise that this summit has established itself as one of the premier events in the calendar. I am sure that as delegates, you will enjoy a stimulating and thought-provoking conference. And as I look around this room this morning, it is great to see the many leading figures within the Cayman Islands financial industry alongside our visitors. I say welcome alongside our visitors from around the globe. To our returning visitors, I say welcome back. And to those who are here for the very first time, please make sure to enjoy our 3 islands while you're here. This island is unique in the region, combining first-class infrastructure and top-class hotels and restaurants with unspoiled beaches, crystal clear water, and a laid-back Caribbean feel. And of course, our people will offer you a warm, Cayman-kind welcome during your time here. Today's theme concerns a high-digital, low-carbon future, and I will address this shortly, but I hope you will forgive me if I also say a few words about tomorrow's subject matter, preparing for geopolitical challenges. The 2 themes are, of course, inextricably linked. Some might think it is unnecessary for the people of these 3 small islands in the Caribbean to be concerning ourselves with geopolitical challenges. However, we have compelling reasons to do so. If one of the most significant challenges facing all of us is climate change, then islands like ours are in the front line. As you may have observed, Grand Cayman is very flat, with the highest point of the island only being 60 feet above sea level. Sea level rise, therefore, poses a very obvious threat. At the same time, we are exposed to increasingly severe hurricane risk as weather patterns grow extreme. In Cayman, we have to think differently about development if we are going to meet these challenges successfully. It is the Caribbean, so everyone wants to build as close to our beautiful sea as possible. And in order to keep the feel of the islands, We wanted development heights to be restricted, and the result has been sprawling development along our coastlines. In the future, we need to think in terms of greater setbacks and higher building heights so we can give room for the sea. We must also use the spaces created for more natural and green space for both humans and our diverse flora and fauna. All these issues are being addressed in the comprehensive Plan Cayman process that my ministry is leading on behalf of the government. Looking beyond our shores, prospects for the global economy are best uncertain. The International Monetary Fund's latest report on the global economic outlook, released last month, painted a mixed picture. The IMF have downgraded its growth forecast for each of the next 3 years, but generally sees a more positive market sentiment and takes this view that risk, while high, is lowering. However, they note that few signs of turning points are yet visible in the global macroeconomic data, and they make clear that the materialization of the identified risks could lead to rapidly deteriorating sentiment, causing global growth to fall below the projected baseline. Overlaid on that economic picture, there's a range of other threats. Events in China remind us of the risk of global pandemic. There is an ever-present risk of international terrorism, and significant military conflict may result from tensions in a number of regions, while cyber attacks pose a critical risk for both government and the private sector. I understand that for many in this room, understanding and dealing with these risks is what your business is all about. My purpose here today is not to paint a picture of doom and gloom to kick off this conference, quite far from it. Rather, I believe that the approach we have developed here in the Cayman Islands over the last 50 years demonstrates that it is growing innovative, that demonstrates by continuing to innovate that we can continue to grow. It is that spirit of innovation that I hope you will reflect upon as you take part in the sessions planned for the next 2 days. That innovation is most apparent in the development of Cayman's financial services industry. In Cayman, we have just celebrated 60 years of our first written constitution, which gave us formal responsibility for our own affairs. That was a responsibility we took with pride. A significant early development was the 1960 Companies Law, on which our financial service industry was built. Over the last 60 years, we have continued to support the growth and development of the financial services industry, which now accounts for over 50% of Cayman's GDP. We continue to support the sector now, and we will do so in the future. Cayman remains one of the premier offshore jurisdictions as a tax-neutral conduit for international transactions, and it has continued to grow from strength to strength. We have maintained our approach of keeping up with global regulatory framework, and despite those who believe it would spell doom and gloom for the industry, the changes to our regulatory framework to introduce economic substance requirements is, by all accounts, further growing the financial sector. Government's approach is being matched by the industry that continues to innovate in our traditional strong sectors, such as funds and insurance, and is becoming increasingly active in emerging markets, notably blockchain and cryptocurrencies. We are developing our legislative approach on digital assets in tandem with the work going on within the sector. We recognize that virtual asset markets have the potential to revolutionize how financial services are provided to consumers globally. As a jurisdiction, we welcome innovation and encourage the adoption of new technologies. But, my apologies, new technologies. But we are determined that a framework has to be put in place to ensure that only legitimate actors are able to operate from our shores. As such, we are currently developing a regulatory framework which will be technology neutral, protect consumers and users of key virtual asset services, and be compliant with the evolving global standards set by the Financial Actions Task Force. The framework will also include a regulatory sandbox regime which will be flexible enough to allow for unconventional, innovative technologies to be monitored by our regulator and applied to financial markets in a controlled manner. The proposed framework will create effective supervision for virtual asset service providers alongside licensing, registration, and enforcement regimes that satisfy anti-money laundering requirements. This will require a series of amendments to existing regulatory laws, such as the Mutual Funds Law and the Securities Investment Business Law, to bring some virtual asset services into the scope of existing legislation. We are currently working on a draft of the framework, which will be fit for consultation, and I hope that when it is made public in the coming months, you will respond to the issues it raises. By working with the industry, we intend to create a regulatory regime for digital assets that fosters innovation while ensuring proportionate but robust regulation. Which brings me back to today's theme. Cayman's very future is high digital, low carbon. It cannot be any other way for us. The government recognizes that alongside maintaining our strength in the financial services and our position as one of the world's premium tourism destinations, we must diversify Cayman's economy. On a small Caribbean island with few natural resources, service and knowledge-based industries will be central to that diversification. It was for that reason that this government, during our first term, put in place a world-class framework of legislation to protect intellectual property. We already have, of course, some of the best professional service firms in the world able to support the development of business in Cayman. With the legislative framework and the support ecosystem in place, we have begun successfully to attract new digital business to Cayman. However, we recognize that we cannot just sit back and wait for business to come to us. You all know that simply putting an open sign does not bring you customers. While we believe there are huge opportunities for Cayman, this is a globally competitive marketplace. To maximize our ability to take advantage of the opportunities we believe that the future will bring, the government has established a new ministry, the Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation, and Maritime Affairs. The Chief Officer, Mr. Eric Bush, will be addressing you in this equivalent slot tomorrow morning, so I do not want to steal his thunder. But for now, I will just say that we believe Eric's ministry will help Cayman to advance our international reputation while making this jurisdiction easier to do business with, so attracting more inward investment. The low-carbon aspect is equally important. 2 weeks ago, I shared a platform alongside the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, to present on strategies for advancing infrastructure, sustainability, and resilience in our respective islands at the 4th Annual Caribbean Infrastructure Forum. Throughout that conference, there was a recurring emphasis on low-carbon solutions for the future infrastructure needs of the island nations within this region. I would like to single out 2 current projects being run out of my ministry here in Cayman, and then mention one more that you all may further consider. One of the most pressing issues our island faces is traffic. We are continuing to see strong economic growth, and we are attracting more and more people to come here to live and to work. This is putting a strain on our infrastructure, particularly our road networks. Quite rightly, therefore, this government has prioritized the delivery of a network of improvements that will increase road capacity and reduce congestion. However, in the long term, we need a different answer for Cayman's future transportation needs. Again, there's an opportunity for Cayman to approach this issue in a new and innovative way. If we are to consider the total daily traffic movements around Grand Cayman between daily commuters and our visitors, then new public transport solutions become economically viable. We intend to use the time that the road improvements will give us to identify and deliver the best option for public transportation in Cayman. Central to our efforts to create a low-carbon future is to move towards more sustainable energy production and usage. Our national energy, I don't think that's me, no. Okay, I'm going to finish soon. You don't have to, you don't have to ring the tune. Our national energy policy represents an ambition to transform our approach, including a target of 70% renewable energy in our energy mix by 2037. We will achieve that through enhancing and embracing a sustainable lifestyle through responsible and innovative energy supply and consumption. The policy gives us a 20-year roadmap for change. We are now turning that into a clear set of tangible initiatives to deliver the transformation we are seeking. We will encourage green energy through the increased use of solar panels and other forms of renewable energy across these 3 islands, including all government facilities. The renewable mix will include power from our new waste-to-energy plant that also ends this country's unsustainable reliance on a landfill. This approach makes sense for our environment, but it also delivers on 2 other crucial objectives. First is the need to create technical and vocational jobs for the next generation of Caymanians. The needs of a low-carbon energy sector requires the creation of significant numbers of such jobs. We will work with the sector to ensure that training is here to equip Caymanians to take on those new jobs when available. Alongside such employment opportunities, we believe there are also opportunities for Caymanians who want to start and grow business. In recent years, this government has slashed red tape for small and micro businesses, and we have reduced a range of costs through lowering or eliminating fees and charges imposed on such businesses. Our new Small Business Development Center will provide the advice and support that startups and growing small businesses will require. Secondly, we need to improve Cayman's energy security. At present, we are at the mercy of the world's fossil fuel markets, and, as I mentioned earlier, events in the Middle East have demonstrated both market volatility and the potential for supply to be interrupted. Renewables gives us a path to self-sufficiency in that energy generation. I think what this illustrates is a recognition that sustainability is not just about the environment. It is about a future economy that delivers sensible growth and employment. It is about social progress and the resilience of people and communities. This is captured in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, to which Cayman is firmly committed. From all of that I have said this morning, I hope you can see that Cayman is both realistic about the future challenges and excited about what we believe are huge potential opportunities. Opportunities that existing businesses can exploit, opportunities for new investors and innovators, looking for a safe and welcoming place to do business, and of course, opportunities for Caymanians. Whether you are already doing business here in Cayman or visiting this conference to find out more, I hope you will share this government's optimism about the potential the future holds, and I hope that you will want to be a part of that future. Ladies and gentlemen, it just leaves for me to say to you, please enjoy the conference this week. I hope that there are tremendous takeaways, and perhaps by the end of the conference, you will all be equipped to go and buy some of that jewelry and a condo. But if not, please enjoy our beaches and our friendly people. Thank you very much.